Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, welcome. Today we are on a brand new brand of e-bike, the Philiam FX-1. It's a dual motor, dual suspension, very stylish looking e-bike. If you guys have been watching my content for a while, you've probably seen this exact style of frame on some other brands. And this bike peaks between 2,000 and 2,500 watts of peak power. And today we're going to be putting it through the tests. The 0 to 20 test, the top speed test, the brake test, the off-road test, the hill climb tests. All of the tests to see if this is a bike worth buying. And speaking of buying, if you are interested in this bike, it is listed in the description below for the most up-to-date price. Make sure you check that out. A lot of these bikes are always changing in price based on whatever sale's going on. So make sure you take a look at that link along with other recommended e-bikes and maximum charge approved accessories. And as you could tell, what we're doing right now is starting off with a speedometer accuracy test. And it looks like we are right on the money. We might be off by maybe 1 mile an hour or so, but that's acceptable. So that way we don't need to keep this out, although we will for the top speed test and the steep hill climb test, just for consistency. All right, so a couple things I want to point out. Number one, this is a dual motor bike, so we're going to have to press this one button right here to bring it into dual motors. Before it was on single motor. We're going to bring the pedal assist level all the way up to 5, and we're going to do the 0 to 20 test. And you guys are going to be surprised right now because it's going to give you a very soft start, but there is a way to make it much faster, and I'm going to show you right after this initial test. Without further ado, 0 to 20 test, throttle only, 3, 2, 1, boom. Look at that. Look how soft of a start that is. Don't you worry, ladies and gentlemen, it will get much faster. And 20, look at that. This bike has a feature that some other bikes have, in that when the speedometer is not at 0, it gives you way more power from a standstill. So watch this. If I stop, I'm clearly stopped, but the speedometer takes a while to 0 out. And it gives me a very slow start if I start it from where the speedometer says 0. But watch this. If I stop and then start, much stronger start. I actually heard the front wheel slip just a bit. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to redo the 0 to 20 test and see how much better it is. And by the way, I did unlock everything that is unlockable within this bike. Here we go. 0 to 20. 3, 2, 1. Boom. Yeah, hear that wheel spin? 20. There it is. So I think that was a little bit faster. I'll show you guys on the screen all the times so you can compare. Let's move on to our long hill climb test. Love the power of these dual motor bikes. Ah, yes. Oh, yeah. Love me some high-powered e-bikes. All right, starting at the sewer grate. Long hill climb test, throttle only. You know what we're going to do with this test? We're going to do it from when the speedometer is not zeroed out so we can get the fastest possible time. So what we'll do is turn around, make a little circle, stop, and then immediately go. Here we go. Ready? Go! Oh, 3, 2, 1, go. I gotta tighten that handlebar. Okay. All right, we're off to a good start. Here, those motors working. We're at 20 already. Oh, yeah. This one is gonna be pretty quick. This is gonna be a good time, guys. Oh, yeah. Okay, we're almost at 25. Crossing over at 26 miles an hour. All right. You guys know the drill. We're going to see what the free spinning top speed is of the wheel. Switch it to rear motor, kickstand on, throttle. See how soft that starts? But if I stop and then go, much faster. And looks like it tops out at 35 miles an hour. So this bike will not go any faster than 35 miles an hour unless you go down a steep enough hill. Bringing it back to dual motor. Let's see how quickly we can get to that free spinning wheel speed down our hill test. Here we go. We're throttling. Yep, I felt the motor cut off at 35. So no matter what, this bike will not give you more speed than 35 miles an hour. And for some of you guys, that is plenty. For some of you guys, that is not enough. Yeah, I definitely feel the front wheel on occasion sliding out. So we are getting plenty of power to that front wheel. By the way, I did check the controller current. This bike actually has 2 controllers. One under the seat, which gives you 21 amps, and another one in the battery cradle, which gives you another 21 amps. So 42 amps of current, which means that at a nominal voltage, you'll get about 2100 watts. And at the peak voltage and fluctuations of when the controller goes up or down, you'll get about 2500 watts. So somewhere between there is going to be the peak. We are at our steep hill climb test. We're going to quickly stop and then gun it and see how it does. Actually, before I do anything else, I should tighten these handlebars, shouldn't I? Always good to keep one of these little multi-tools with you. Tighten these down a bit. And this is my fault. Should always double check everything. I think what I did was I was in a rush when I was assembling this bike, and I didn't tighten these down all the way. But now we are, as the kids say, Gucci. We're Gucci, baby.
You stupid.
All right, that should be good enough. Let's put this away. Ziploc bag is not ziplocking, so we're gonna just shove that in there and deal with that another day. That is a problem for future Alex, because right now we got an e-bike to review. So what we're gonna do for the steep hill climb test is roll up to the line, stop for a brief moment, and then immediately gun it to make sure we get the full speed. Okay, here we go. Roll up to the hill, stop, and go. Ooh, little wheel spin there. We are flying. Wow, 14 miles an hour. All right, very, very, very good speed, but pretty typical for these dual motor bikes. Plenty of power to get up that hill. Oh, it looks like I rotated these up a little too high, but that's okay. I don't care. We can fix that later. Next up, 20 mile an hour brake test. Ready, brake. All right, not bad, not great, not terrible. It is what it is. We stopped with the front wheel right over the little divots in the road. Here's where our rear wheel locked up. Initiated the braking right here. Not too bad. Moving on. We're going to head on back to our secondary e-bike testing site, where we're going to continue testing this bike. Let's do the handlebar width test. Yeah, about average. Very soft start from 0 miles an hour. So Philiam definitely tried to program this bike to make it so that the front wheel doesn't constantly spin out, which I actually prefer. That's one of those things that only looks cool on camera, and it only is cool the first couple times you do it, and then after that, it is super annoying. Imagine you had a car that as soon as you started accelerating, it just burned out no matter what. Eventually, you'd get kind of annoyed, especially when those front tires constantly wear out. So thankfully this bike is programmed in such a way so that you don't have that issue. Riding around on this sidewalk, I could definitely feel the bumps. The dual suspension does help. The fat tires do help. Although, these are budget components, budget suspension parts, so they're not going to help that much. But they're there. The seat is mildly comfortable. It's nothing to write home about, but it is a wider bench seat, moped-style seat. So it's pretty good. I'll tell you what, though, I am feeling the power of this thing. It is powering through very nicely. Yeah, the soft start is very soft. I would say it's a little bit too soft, honestly. Like, you guys can give me a little bit more. So we're on a portion of the sidewalk of doom right now. Continue testing the suspension. The back is definitely on the stiffer side. Again, it is budget suspension, but it's there. Compared to a hardtail, feels much better than that. Every bike has something that is valuable to someone. Some of you guys might like suspension a lot, but more than likely, if you're watching this channel, you're all about speed and power. And I will tell you that this bike does deliver. It is quick, it does accelerate fast, as long as the speedometer isn't at 0, and it will get you up most hills just fine. So now we're going to do a top speed test on our secondary top speed testing site, and we'll see how this bike does. This road goes downhill a bit and then flattens out, and we'll see where this bike tops off. And normally I pedal up to speed, but this bike, having dual motors, we'll get to a higher speed very quickly, so we don't have to do that. And of course we'll use our phone. All right, we're flattening out. All right, look at that. We're holding 35, a solid 35 miles an hour. Speedometer says 31, 32. All right, wow, 35 miles an hour. That's pretty good. And something that you'll notice with these dual motor bikes is that typically when you test the no load free spinning wheel top speed, it'll be, for example, let's say 40. And if it's a single motor bike, the actual top speed will be much less than that, maybe like 35 or so. But with two motors, since you have two motors pushing you, it's going to be closer to that free spinning wheel RPM. And so looks like we're there, guys. This speedometer showed us 35 when we were doing the free spinning wheel test, and for a top speed test right now it's showing us 32, so we're not too far off from that speed. Let's pull over right over here and quickly go over the specs and components of this bike. All right, guys, let's see what this bike has. We're going to start at the top. Looks like we have very basic and simple rubberized grips, DY Island hydraulic brake levers. Here's our headlight button, which with the push of one button, you can turn on your headlights. And the headlight is nice and bright. I do appreciate that. Here's what the rear light looks like. When you hit the brakes, it does light up. And here's what it looks like when the rear light is on. I'm not sure this is the best place to put this rear light because this fender does cover a lot of it from the back. It isn't really all that visible. I would have preferred the rear light to be mounted somewhere back here, but what are you gonna do? See that? If I'm down here, I can barely see it. If I'm up here, it is mostly visible. Single button to change from dual motor to single motor. In my opinion, this is the best way to do it. When this is pressed in, both motors are on. When it's pressed out, only the rear motor is on. Some bikes, they have the option to use front motor. I think that's kind of a waste of time. Nobody ever uses that. It's either rear or dual motors, and so this keeps things nice and simple, although I wish this button did light up when you pressed it in so you would really know if it was dual motor or single motor, because right now you can't really tell. It does stick out a little bit more when it's off, and when you press it in it's dual motor, but I wish this did light up. Simple control panel, easy to read display, black with white lettering, very clear display. Looks like we could cycle through the odometer, max speed, average speed, the voltage. Thank God they have voltage here, that's awesome. And then your trip distance, and of course you got your battery bar and mile an hour right there. When you hold down the minus button, you do get a walk assist. And something I just learned is that if this is on single motor and you hold down the walk assist, both motors will work, and that's why the whole thing moved out of nowhere, so just keep that in mind. Typical Mickey Mouse Shimano style shifter, and your half twist throttle. And we do have a horn down here as well. Nice and loud, that's actually pretty loud. The seat is a textured, almost rubberized feeling seat. Decently soft, decently wide, no complaints there. The handlebar is placed in such a way to give you a little bit more of an aggressive riding position. So you don't have an upright riding style. This is more of a leaning forwards riding position. That's going to give you some more control over the bike. Suspension fork has a basic preload and compression with lockout adjustment. And by the way, this is a dual crown fork, so that is nice that they added that in. Plastic fenders in the front and in the rear. It looks like right here we've got quad piston calipers with 180 millimeter rotors, and you get the same exact setup in the back. And here's a better look at that front motor, which says it is rated 52 volts, 1000 watts nominal. And this bike comes with the usual 26 by 4 inch fat tire knobbies. One of the main features of this bike is the frame and the paint job. So the paint job is very nice looking gloss black with this red color, this rich, deep red color. I think it looks pretty good. Empowering journeys. And the frame design you guys have probably seen before. It's a very unique frame design. I think it looks good, especially if you're into some kind of a hybrid style, full size and moped style e-bike. Very simple, non-adjustable rear shock. GSX 200 made by Go SUXE. I have seen this before. Basic, budget oriented, but it does work okay. And of course, here's the battery in the center. Get a battery charge indicator right here. This is a 20 amp hour battery, 52 volt system. The max discharge current is 50 amps, and the max this bike will take is 42 amps because you have one controller in here, one controller under the seat. The back motor is exactly the same, 52 volt, 1000 watt nominal rated, and both of these motors, again, peak at 21 amps of current, which means each one at the nominal 52 volts will give you just over 1000 watts peak power. In the back, you've got your kickstand, which is a very long kickstand. This is adjustable, but I do appreciate that it's back here and not up there, and that way these pedals don't interfere. And back here we have a 7-speed Shimano transmission with a Shimano Tourney TZ derailleur and a derailleur guard. Medium-sized chainring up front with a guard only on one side. Very basic plastic pedals. Alright guys, let's keep riding this bike. Let's test the different pedal assist levels. So dual motor, and these pedal assist levels are linked with the throttle, so we're not going to pedal, we're just going to see where the throttle stops us for each level. So it looks like level 1 will give us about 10 miles an hour. Oh, big jump into level 2. 15 miles an hour. Level 3, about 21 miles an hour. Level 4 gives us just about 27 miles an hour. And of course, level 5 gives us that 35 mile an hour top speed. So overall, I do like this bike. I think the price is right. And again, the price is always changing on these bikes. So to see the most up-to-date price, check the link in the description below. I will list any available discount codes or coupon codes down there as well. And if this isn't the bike for you, check out the other recommended e-bikes I have listed down there as well, along with my maximum charge approved accessories. I kind of like this bike. It's quick, it's a good price, it looks good. If you're into this type of style, you get quad piston calipers, you get the bigger rotors, you get the dual motors, the high power. We are flying, guys. We're flying up this hill, no sweat. Let me know what you guys think about this bike in the comments below. That's it for today, folks. Until next time.